Just in case you don't know Spartoi or what it is, this group consists of the most elite members from the dwma EAT class. So dwma is split into two general advancement curriculums. Not students, which are 90% of the student body, which stands for normally overcome target class, which is for non-combatants, while the other 10% of students are the EAT class, especially advanced talent class. And this would consist of the 10% of students that are actually capable of fighting the evil of madness on a day-to-day basis. So we take 10% of dwma student body, and that would be the EAT class. And then we take the even smaller percentage of that, which would be the Spartoi class. A brand new elite unit that got formed after the events of the war against arachnophobia. For example, the Battle for Brew and the invasion of Baba Yaga Castle. And coincidentally, these same students that were in this invasion are also members of Spartoi. In Greek, the word Spartoi means the sown ones. Armed skeletal warriors born from dragon's teeth, released and scattered to drive madness from the land. And this would likewise fit the theme of these same students driving away the Kishin's madness, because it would be after how they drove away arachnophobia and Arachne's madness, they would be held to such high acclaim. And what would make this squad of students so special, outside of their skills and experience, they would have one of the strongest weapons in the series by their side, Soul Eater Evans, because during the formation of this group, he would then become a death scythe. It's really nice to see the characters progress from being the worst Meisters in the series to the best and most elite squadron in the entire school. These characters develop and you really get an interesting sense of progression from their struggles throughout the series. Under the title of Spartoi that was given to them, as skeletal knights, they would more or less be under Shinigami's order and fight back anything he would define as madness. That is what makes this moment in the series so special, when Marie tells the students that Krona has been put on Shinigami's list, and that they would be given the task of eliminating him themselves. And they end up feeling conflicted about the entire situation. Kid, as a Shinigami, as a god, goes on a journey throughout the story to find his own answers, and realizes that too much order can lead to madness as well. Too much order can develop into a transsymmetrical unity that surpasses all symmetry, becoming nothingness. Because what is more balanced than nothing? But is there really balance when there's no life to complement that same death? And this would be the madness of order, the lack of life. Likewise, Shinigami's special move is named after this, because if he's controlling everybody, they're not actually living life. And this would tie into my Benimaru video with the sun and the moon, the god and its people. Kid, as a god, was able to reach new heights throughout the story, with his people believing in him, and him ultimately believing his people. And this is exactly what it was like for Benimaru. Too much order at some point can breed madness. Order imposed on the world by force, is that not the same as rule by fear? Is death no different than the Kishin? Of course he isn't, because Shinigami, just like God, loves his people. At the time, Shinigami was a good god for his time. But as time progresses, things change. And with a new world developing, a new order must as well, because any justice taken too far is its own evil. The Spartoi group, just like Kid, recognized this. Too much justice can drive people mad and make a Kishin, and this is exactly what happened to Asura. What makes the Spartoi group so special is because they are the students that work the hardest and understand the current order of the world more than any other student in dwma. They are the most skilled and most likely to be the new leaders of the world when Shinigami passes. They know what he wants, and the entire time he wanted Kid and the other students to learn and not repeat the same mistakes he's made with his son. Because unfortunately, Shinigami's order gave birth to fear. These students learned. And that is why they were hesitant when it came to death's order, because God was simply giving them a test that he knew they would have passed. Kim talks to Kid and asks him if he could talk to his dad, saying that it's not fair that they have to eliminate Krona because Medusa was controlling him. And Kid responds that Krona has done something unforgivable. He says that Krona must be dealt with. Black Star is angered by this, and he tells Kid, "Don't tell me you came back here just to give us that bullshit." Black Star was ready to fight Kid again to knock some sense into him, similar to what happened in the Book of Abon. But Kid has learned, and he stops Black Star, telling him, "Wait until I'm finished." And Kid says, "But I did come back to point out that absolute order does not exist. All of them have different beliefs, and we see this with other members of Spartoi. They all have different values, nationalities, beliefs, and ethnicities. Order at times is why certain members can even act with a shred of human kindness. But if that defining line becomes fuzzy, people will eventually pull apart." Kid recognizes this test from his father, exclaiming, "But some do not accept the decision to eliminate Krona. Perhaps by ordering Spartoi to execute Krona, Father is asking us to consider how we ought to face him, unbound by the laws of order. There's no use staring down at the ground. Both we and order must move forward. And just as life moves forward, so must the things that come with it. The world changes, people change, and order should as well. Order should move forward." So they decide to then confront Krona. But unfortunately, Krona's decision is that he will not uphold any order, and that he will twist and tear the world until its gears are broken and misaligned, completely going against anything that Shinigami would stand for. But despite this, the members of Spartoi still want to help him, and they end up turning their back on order. Just like life, the group known as Spartoi was prosperous. At the time, dwma needed this group more than ever, and thus God gave birth to it. But like all things in life, Spartoi would experience the beautiful yet perpetuous cycle of life and death. Times have changed, people changed, order has changed, and so the death of Spartoi happened. But through this death would come a new order for a new world for its new people. Now is the time for change, and this is what Shinigami wanted to teach Kid and pass along this same lesson to his students. Because through the life he led, he learned many things and realized that absolute order is not what this world needs. Death, Spartoi, and his order all succumbed to age. But through this, it would give birth to a new order, a new god, and a new age of prosperity between witches and humans. If Manga and the other members of Spartoi would have went to the moon to kill Krona, they never would have been able to form a connection with him. Because if they would have followed Death's old teachings, they would have killed Krona without any questions. But due to the new teachings that they learned, they ultimately decided not to do this. And this would allow them to form a connection with someone who was devoid of connections his entire life. Someone whose soul had been devoured by absolute darkness and wanted to curse the order of the world that would deny him. Through the lesson that Spartoi learned from Shinigami, you can still believe in and have faith in others devoid of love, kindness, and connection. And maybe then, despite it all, you could forge a connection and reach an understanding with him. Even if you can't believe in that person yourself, you can believe in what the friends around you see in that same person. Because that is the true strength of humanity. We are all in this together. Krona realizes this, but then he decides he can't go back. He cannot go back to the real world because he committed an unforgivable sin. This never would have happened under Shinigami's previous orders, under the name of the Spartoi. Krona, someone devoid of this connection, never would have eventually found a connection through others and realized the errors of his ways. In the end, even though Krona ended up sacrificing himself, he found the courage to finally make a decision and fight for those he cared about. In his last moments, he was able to believe in others as they believed in him. And through his death, or better yet, through his life, gave birth to a world without fear. And that is how the warriors known as Spartoi, or formerly known as Spartoi, drove away the madness from their world. Now, with all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be back for more Soul Eater content, and I'll see you guys later.